Section 2.5 is more of an application type section. We've already looked at, how do we solve equations. Well, now we're going to look at how we can use formulas that are equations and to solve for unknown parts of a formula. Okay, so this section I just call Using Formulas 2.5. The first types of problems that we're going to do tell you to substitute the given values into each formula, solve for the unknown variable. Okay, so they're going to give you a formula, and let me just go ahead and tell you, you do not have to know these formulas, by heart. I do tell you what they are. Some of them it may not tell you, it may just give you some type of equation. Okay, the point of this is that you're able to use algebra to solve for whichever part of the equation is unknown. Okay, so this is my distance formula. D equals R times T, which actually stands for distance equals rate times time. Okay, and this is a formula that we use a lot. So part A says that R is equal to 60, T is equal to 4. We want to find D. Okay, so that's the unknown variable. So you take your formula, D equals R times T, and plug in what's given. So I know that R is equal to 60, T is equal to 4, and we do not know D. So then how would I solve? Well, just by multiplying. So this means D would equal 60 times 4, which is 240. Okay, so D is 240. But this is not the only way that you could use the formula. Okay, if we look at B, it says D is equal to 150, R is equal to 10. So again, they want you to be able to take that formula, plug in what you have, solve for what you don't have. So I have 150 in the place of D, I have 10 in the place of R, but I don't know what T is. Okay, so I get the equation 150 equals 10 times T. Well, using what we've talked about in the previous sections, how do I solve this equation? How do I solve for T? Well, if all I have is multiplication here, 10 times T, to get T by itself, I would divide by 10. Divide both sides by 10. So that gives me T is equal to 150 divided by 10 is 15. So T is equal to 15. Okay, then on C, it gives you that D is equal to 122 and T is equal to 2. So again, you need to be able to plug in what's given, 122 in the place of D. We do not know R, but I know that T is 2. And then you should be able to solve this equation for R. Okay, again, just like on the problem up here, how do I get R by itself? Well, I've got to divide by this coefficient of the variable. So when I divide, 2 will go into 122 61 times. So that means R is equal to 61. Okay, number 2 gives you the perimeter of a square formula. P equals 4S. So this means perimeter equals 4 times S, and S represents the length of your side. Just picture a square. In a square, all the sides have the same length, so we say those are S. Perimeter means the distance around the square. So if I wanted to find the perimeter of a square, you would add up all the sides. Well, because there's 4 equal sides, this is where we get the formula 4 times S. But again, like I said, you don't have to, don't stress over, I don't know what this formula is. I want you to be able to use the formula. So if it gives you S is equal to 5, I want you to be able to take the formula, plug in what's given, which is a 5 in the place of S, and then solve for what's unknown. So if I solve for P, we just multiply. This means the perimeter would be 20. So if all my sides were 5, if I added all those up, it would be 20. And then B gives us that P is equal to 32. So again, you go back to the original formula. We know that P is 32, so I plug that in for P. And now I want to solve for S, which will be the length of the side. So divide by 4, divide by 4. This would give me S is equal to 8. So the length of my side would be 8. Okay, number 3 is the area of a rectangle. The formula is area equals L times W. That just means length times width. Okay, so in the first part, it says L is equal to 12 and W is equal to 8. So what's the unknown variable? It's A. Okay, so when I write my formula, A equals L times W, I do not know what A is, but I know that L is 12 and W is 8. Okay, so to find A, we just multiply 12 times 8, which would be 96. Okay, on B, still using the same formula, A equals L times W, length times width. This time it says that A is equal to 28. So 28 equals, L is equal to 7, but we don't know what W is. So here we would be solving for W. Again, how would I get W by itself? Well, if it's multiplication, then we do the opposite. We divide. So W would equal 28 divided by 7, which is 4.